and welcome to Wait For Real.
A true crime and paranormal podcast. I'm Grace.
And I'm Katie. She made us laugh
I
right
did.
before she
Because I was
pressed.
I was telling Katie that I was like, I mean, we just spent 20 minutes just shooting the shit. And
Chit-chatting.
and Peaches came to be a pet, and it was a whole thing. I was like, I'm a lollygagger with
Yes.
lollygagging.
But she'd already pressed record. I'm like, damn it, don't do this to us.
My bad.
I can't be trusted to
No
do openings,
regrets.
as you know.
Listen. Wait, have you been reading up on the New England serial killer more?
No.
It seems like it keeps popping up on my newsfeed.
You think it's legit?
I think it's legit.
What have you seen?
I mean, that was my only...
Oh.
No. I forgot that my cat, whenever she wants attention, will push everything off the counter.
Yep. She's like, you gave me attention and now I want more.
Son of a bitch. We're
You've
going to hear it
created a
nonstop.
monster.
Yeah, are we surprised?
No.
Let me see if I can have the article.
Okay.
But, sorry, did you have things you wanted to talk about before the episode began?
Not really, but I love that you just did a little accent.
I don't know where it came from.
It's chaos this week. I will say happy Pride Month to everybody.
Yay, Pride Month.
It's not Pride Month yet while we're recording, but it will be by the time you guys are listening and or watching this. Shout out to everybody that's watching us on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
There's only 10 of you, but we still appreciate it.
Okay, so basically it says the speculation of the New England serial killer won't go away because social media took over, but the cops are like, there's nothing that adds up for all this.
Yeah.
Rude.
The power of the media, man.
Listen, that's how we get conspiracy theories.
Yes. Yep.
Just Mattress Firm.
Yes. I still think about that.
I'm glad. You should. Mattress Firm.
We need a part 2. We need to go investigate for ourselves.
I'm not trying to die in a Mattress Firm. We just FaceTime each other from Mattress Firm, and our phone just disconnects.
Oh, no. We'll live stream it for you guys.
Yeah, it'll go really well.
There'll be 3 people watching, but you know what? And it'll be Beth and Bella and...
I'm afraid to live stream because I know that I breathe heavy when I'm doing anything. So, you guys would be, watching me walk through a store, and you just hear...
I think that's normal. I think everybody breathes heavy.
No, I'm an aggressive breather. I've noticed when I'm editing the podcast, sometimes they're like, Jesus Christ, Grace, reel it in.
I've never noticed that.
Listen, well, you gotta think sometimes when I'm editing, I have to listen to the same part 7 times in a row.
Yeah.
So by the end of it, I'm like, do I even know how to say my own name?
It's true. Editing yourself is such a humbling experience.
It is indeed. It is.
I never want to see my face again after doing these edits.
Yeah,
I'm like, exactly. That's enough. Thank you. Great.
Yeah, I get it. So, okay, sorry. Anyways, that was really bad. No news for the New England serial killer. That's not a serial killer. But what are we covering this week? Well, I guess, yeah. What's going on?
What is going on? I'm so glad you asked, Grace. But basically, it's June now, by the time you're listening and or watching this. So as we discussed in the beginning of the year, we are now switching gears into our Unsolved series.
Yes.
So for the next 6 months, we'll be covering unsolved cases, of course, with paranormal sprinkled throughout. And there may be some, I would say, between now and October, because then we kind of shift into Halloween, holiday,
spooky wooky
mood. And doesn't mean that there won't be unsolved cases in that, just that it will shift. The point is, we're doing an unsolved case today.
So we're taking a break from serial killers.
That's right.
God.
Yes, those are some dark, dark cases.
They really are. It got to the point where we both were like, let's do paranormal.
Yeah, it's just back to back. But you know what? Let's not even do any kind of scary thing. Let's do something fun, like
plot
fairies.
twist, guys. This podcast is now a happy podcast only.
That's right. Remember when you used to have Happy Corner?
Yeah, and I gave that up.
It's okay.
Just my soul.
It was great while it lasted.
It was. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think now we're just desensitized. Before, it was much needed, I think.
Oh yeah, now I like people talk about like true crime and I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what have I become?
Who are you? I just remember how happy you were in the beginning. So sorry I did this to you.
You did do this to me.
I did.
The first like when you first brought up like John Wayne Gacy or like Ted Bundy or
Yeah, you didn't
all
know
these
who John
people.
Benet Ramsey was.
I did not. And let me tell you, now I'm like, nah, they
Yeah.
dead.
Yes. Yeah, she knows. Now she knows everybody. Now she does her own research.
I do. I've
So
come
proud.
so far.
You have.
Look at me
Okay.
now, Mom. Look at me now.
I know.
Oh shoot. Okay, get into it.
Okay. September 4th, 1977. We're just diving right in.
Damn. Okay, wait. September 4th?
Yep.
Okay.
1977.
Okay.
Police officer Thomas Cocotangelo, I'm trying to do my best, starts his shift at 11 p.m. patrolling Trenton College in Ewing, New Jersey.
Yep.
He's driving on campus when he notices that a bike is locked outside of Kendall Hall, which is the theater.
Okay.
This is only weird because students aren't supposed to arrive for another 3 to 4 days because classes haven't started yet.
Ooh, yeah.
So back in the day, classes did not start as early as they do now.
Okay.
And he radios into dispatch and says, "Is anybody supposed to be here?" They come.
Yeah,
They
like
come
a heads
back.
up.
Yeah, they come back. They say no. So he says, "Okay, I'm going in." He's assuming someone is trespassing. So he goes up to the door and he has to unlock it. That's important. He goes in. All the lights are off. He would later recall that it was quite creepy because the only light in the entire building was coming from the red exit sign.
Oh, hell no.
I know. He's going through the hallways. He doesn't see anything, so he decides to go to the main stage. When he gets to the main stage, he can see what he thinks originally is a person sleeping on their side, and they have like a cover all the way up to their neck. And as he starts to walk closer, he's like, maybe this is like a prop. Also, it's important to remember that all the lights are off in the theater.
Oh, I hate this.
And as he gets closer, he starts to see blood. And he kneels down and realizes this is not a prop, but this is a person. So he calls in for backup and says, "I think I have a homicide." And every police officer working that night shows up.
Jesus.
So when they get there, no one
My-
knows how. Oh, what?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Peaches.
She's causing chaos.
She's chewing on all the cords. No, stop. She unplugged the laptop, so that's where we're at. So, anyways, sorry, continue. All the
That's
cops
okay.
show up.
All the cops show up and no one knows how to turn on the lights. So they call the electrician to come turn on the lights. He starts flipping all of the switches, and that's when they're able to see just how brutal this scene is.
Oh, no.
The officer, Thomas, would later say that the only indication that he had when originally inspecting the body that it was a female was that there was an earring. That is how badly she had been beaten.
What?
Yeah. Underneath so what is covering her is a piano blanket.
Okay.
And she's basically laying on her stomach, then covered like kind of like on her side. I'm going to show Grace pictures. They will not be included in the video. But in a little bit, we'll pause to do that. So she's naked underneath, and her clothes are a few feet away with her belongings next to the piano that's on the stage.
Okay.
Now, she had been sexually assaulted as well. In another direction, her scarf that she had been wearing on her, like in her hair, was soaked in blood. And there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
So they do find out who it is because they are able to find her driver's license and her belongings. And this is 25-year-old Sigrid Stevenson, and she is a master's student. She's there studying music.
Okay. Jesus.
Prior to coming to campus, Sigrid had been hiking in Nova Scotia, and then she had arrived on campus on September 2nd. She had arranged to rent a room from a local firefighter and their family, but they were out of town visiting the Jersey Shore, so no one was there to let her in when she arrived.
Okay.
She decides that she's going to sleep in Kendall Hall.
Is that, okay, the place that she was found?
Correct.
Okay.
Until she's able to get into...
It's a bold strategy, but I've been there, so I get it.
It's also the 70s. Like, this is just a totally different time. I'm not necessarily justifying it.
I was doing that in 2017.
Yeah.
So.
Allegedly, Grace is not admitting to any crimes. So
Allegedly.
on September 3rd, she's sleeping in the theater's green room when she is startled awake by students who come in because they are putting on a play. Now, I'm not sure if the play was, I don't think it was like happening that night or if they were just doing a rehearsal because it doesn't sound like there were any audience members. The point
Okay.
is, they discover her. They're not really concerned with the fact that she's there. She sticks around, she hangs out with them, and she kind of watches the play.
Okay.
A student would later recall that when they first spoke with her in the beginning and then after Act One, that she was in high spirits. She was very friendly. But then maybe an hour and a half later, her spirits she was just in a bad mood. She was not happy and she told the student that she had gotten into an argument with a man and that she had ultimately lost that argument.
Men.
Yes, sounds right. So that tells you that it had to be someone that was there.
So, okay, let's backpedal for a second here. So you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that the school wasn't supposed to open for several more days, but this group of kids, this group of students were able to get into that hall to do a play?
Yeah, because you have to think like it could have been like summer classes. They could have just
Okay.
it could have just been like a recreational club
Yeah.
that used it, very common for
Yeah.
colleges like that.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying like I don't think that it was an actual like production,
Right, right.
but they
Okay.
had costumes and stuff like that. So then they continue on with the play and they leave around 11:30. This is the last time that Sigrid is seen alive.
Okay.
11:30 September 3rd. Now she's found 11:30 September 4th.
Okay.
It's not known what time she died. It's not known what she did after that. We don't know if she went on to go out the next day. Nobody knows. And the only thing that we have is a journal entry around 11:43 that night that she had where she's saying that they're taking down the stage and soon it'll be dark in Kendall Hall. That's the last thing that she wrote.
That's even creepy.
Yes. Now, we're going to talk about the crime scene and then we'll pause for a little bit. Not for you guys will know, but the idea that police have is that someone approached her while she was playing piano. Sigrid was a piano prodigy. She'd been that way since she was young and she wanted to be a music teacher.
Okay.
So it's thought that someone approaches her while she's at the piano. Possibly, this is mostly speculation, unfortunately, but possibly they made some kind of sexual advance towards her. She rejects them. They get enraged. They begin to attack her. She's able to get up, try to run away, but then they hit her on the head, which is what causes her scarf and earring to come undone. There are smeared blood marks on the stage, which indicates she was either dragged or she was trying to crawl away.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much.
And on her wrist were ligature marks. This is important because this, along with strike marks on her back that they find during the autopsy, make police think that the ligatures were handcuffs and that she was killed by law enforcement, someone that works in law enforcement. This is a very rare thing for law enforcement to admit, let alone
Holy
immediately,
crap.
let alone immediately investigate. Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause so that I can show you the crime scene photos.
Okay.
All right, I showed Grace the photos. It is absolutely brutal. So you can't tell in the pictures, but her blouse is actually tied around her face so that she can't scream, like covering her mouth. Like, but
So,
it's like all the way around her head,
and
if
again,
that makes
like you
sense.
guys can Google these if you want to, but like we're not posting that.
No, no, no. None of these
It's
will be included in the episode or the Instagram post,
oof.
even though they are included in the Unsolved Mysteries episode, but they're very horrific.
Yeah, like I don't want us to have that. Like I don't want to
Mm-mm.
post that. That's oh god, those pictures are horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
Yeah. They don't believe that the killer stumbled upon her like on accident. They think that they intentionally went there to not
Attack her.
necessarily kill her, but um
To make a move.
yes. Yep. And they interview 15 campus police officers and they take their batons and their handcuffs and one of them does come back with blood, but nothing ever really happened. So this is 1977 and this is prior to DNA is really a thing that much. So it's
Right.
kind of like the late 70s, the beginning of the 80s is when we start to see DNA testing and even then it's not very good.
Right.
The detectives that are seen on the Unsolved Mysteries cases Some of them were officers back when the case started, and then some of them have taken over the case since it was a cold case. And things like this, they don't know why this was never investigated. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing they can do now about it because they were all of the handcuffs and batons were given back to the officers. Now, at the time of the murder, so not when the officer found her, but prior to that, his
Yeah.
shift had started at 11 p.m. So prior to that, two other campus police officers were on duty, and they both passed a polygraph test. A lot of polygraphs in this, and you know how I feel about polygraph tests.
Yeah.
I do think that they can be really useful. They're still used today to find out more information, but they can't be used in court now.
Right.
A few months later, one of those same campus officers is in a locker room with one of his colleagues and tells that colleague that he killed Sigrid.
What?
The officer that he told that to thought he was joking, but still goes to detectives and explains not only did he say this, but that when they're out drinking, he gets drunk and is mean to women or talks really badly about women. The officers and detectives that were interviewed aren't able to find if they ever followed up on this
Fuck them.
specific lead. In fact, they don't find any indication that they ever asked this officer about the statements that he made. And this is so when they pick this kind of back up, it's 2010 to 2014. Around that time is when they start really diving back into it, the cold case detectives do.
Okay. Okay.
They do look at a second officer who came in September 4th into the police headquarters, the campus police headquarters, because he comes in at 12:30 and it's his day off. It's just kind of weird. They just think
Yeah.
he's being weird because it's later said that he said he just came in to do paperwork, but
Maybe he's like checking in.
one of the detectives said never in his career did he ever come in off duty to do paperwork. So he's like, I just think it's really bizarre. But again, that officer had passed the polygraph test and they don't really investigate it any further.
Okay.
Now, the current cold case detectives do speak with one of the original detectives who believed that a man by the name of Chuck may have been involved.
Okay.
And it's discovered that Chuck was a part of the play. In Sigrid's belongings, they find a playbill, and in the playbill, they find Chuck's name. She has circled it, and underneath it says, "Nice man, he gave me a beer." Chuck also allegedly passed a polygraph test,
Okay.
but can you guess what his role was in the play? Just based on what we've talked about evidence wise.
I mean, playing a cop?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, what if the handcuffs were props?
Yeah. So a cop slash security guard who had a baton and had a police uniform and handcuffs as well. At the time of her murder, they never take these items to get them tested.
Of course they don't.
I don't know what they'd be testing, but they didn't. They didn't take it. The detective really only had a gut instinct about this guy
Right.
that something was not right. Scott, I'm going to do my best to say this guy's last name, Napolitano,
Okay.
is someone who studied film at the college and he's very involved in the case now. He was just fascinated by this case and so he's really tried to champion justice for Sigrid. He's done great things. He continues to keep this in the media. He makes Reddit posts, he comments on Reddit posts, and he works very closely with police. So he's
Yeah.
interviewed in the Unsolved Mysteries case and he had posted on some kind of forum, and he doesn't say what forum it was, just talking about Sigrid's case. This is kind of like back in the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
And someone emails him and says, I think I know who killed Sigrid Stevenson. And he says, okay, like say more, like what do you mean?
Yeah,
And
bitch. Like, come on.
she says, I think that this was someone who I used to date back in the 80s and he was really abusive. And the reason I think this is because he said, I could kill you and get away with it. I've done it before.
Oh, shit.
And this, of course, is Chuck. It's the same guy.
Talk about a full circle moment.
Yep. Scott hands this over to police. Police go and interview. Her name is Susie, and she talks about how he was an incredibly physically abusive partner.
No, wait, go ahead.
And describes the night that he said that to her, that I could kill you and get away with it. I've done it before, and how he had said he was afraid of police. Like, it was just all very, yeah, suspicious.
Suspicious.
Now, the cold case detectives that were working in the case, they want to get some concrete evidence so that they'll get basically an order so that they can take his DNA. Because even though the DNA hadn't been tested, they were like, what if we try to test some of the DNA from before?
Yeah, like why not?
Some of the DNA had come back with partial hits or partial profiles, but they weren't able to be used for evidentiary purposes until they look at the blouse. Now, the blouse, again, had been tied around her head, and so when they undo the knot, it's soaked in blood. When they
Yeah.
undo the knots, they are able to get a good enough male profile from skin cells to match with someone. However,
Really?
yes. However, in 2016, Chuck dies
Motherfucker.
before they're able to get a sample or talk to him or anything like that. Now,
What did he die from?
I don't know.
I hope it was painful if he was guilty.
Well, the detective calls his family and is like, this is the situation. I want to test a family member against this DNA to see if it's a familial match.
Yeah.
His brother agrees, gives them a sample. They test it. It comes back negative. It is not a match.
Oh, shit. Never mind. Sorry, Chuck.
Well, I still think he was a horrible person. So I think
he deserves no
that
grace.
is
Reel it in.
that is okay.
Yeah.
Now we have two other suspects to discuss. However, their names have not been released. This is just pure speculation that were coming from detectives that were working the case at the time.
Okay.
The first suspect is someone who worked in lighting. So this was someone that had been there the night of the play. And the reason that they think they should be looked into is because, one, the lights in the theater were hard to navigate. Someone had to know how to turn them on and off. That's why police officers couldn't figure out how to turn them on.
Yeah.
And remember that she was in complete darkness, basically, when they found her.
So they knew to turn the lights off.
Right. And you would think that prior to her death, they were on because she was sitting there playing the piano.
Correct.
Likely not in the dark. So the lighting person that was there that night, the students recalled that in the beginning he was fine and happy and normal, but then about halfway through, around 9:30, the same time that Sigrid would report that she had an argument with a man, his mood had soured. When the police originally talked to him, they asked him, do you have keys to the building? And he said no, which was a lie. He does have keys to the building.
Yeah.
So there is something to be looked in there. He was polygraphed and passed. Again, you know how I feel about polygraphs.
I'm like, you keep saying it. I know you have to, but I'm like, fuck
I'm
that.
just giving you all the evidence. The second is a maintenance worker. So the maintenance worker had a history of letting Sigrid into buildings. So she was known to kind of sneak into buildings, even when she wasn't, just waiting for the family to come back.
Right, yeah.
And so he was known to just let her in.
Okay.
In her belongings, they had found his name, phone number, and address, and they had been seen together on campus, just talking by campus police and students, but nobody knows the full extent of their relationship.
Yeah.
The reason that the officers thought maybe that he should be looked at is because shortly after he's fired from his job due to substance abuse issues, he wasn't really interviewed and he was not polygraphed, unlike everybody else apparently in this entire case.
It sounds like, unfortunately, it sounds like there's so many avenues or so many potential suspects for this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of them.
Yep. Unfortunately, there are no other updates. There's been no movement in this case. Now,
I'm going to be angry for the next 6 months with this.
I think that this part makes me particularly sad, and I still haven't kind of figured out why, but the rumor has it that Sigrid's spirit haunts the theater. The piano can be heard playing even when nobody is there, and I think that it's sad because she's kind of become a ghost story. And while I love a good ghost story, she was a real person, and this is a horrific end. Like, nobody should have to suffer that way.
Did they say the cause of death was like blunt force trauma to the head?
Yes, and that reminds me, the murder weapon is never found. But they didn't test the props. They didn't.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like the person was like actively trying to clean up their mess.
No. No, no,
Like they
no.
literally were
No.
like, I mean, from my perspective, because there's a lot of blood sitting at the piano
Yeah.
near her stuff. Is like whoever came up. I wonder if she knew them. She
Yeah.
turned around to say something, and she said, "Hey, like, no, I'm not interested," or whatever. They try to make a move. They strike her there, and
Right.
then she tries to run, and then they get
Yes.
a hold of her. But I think that she knew who the person was.
100%. I think it was whoever she had argued with. I think the argument may have been around this kind of um, situation, and that they may have come back with the intention. I can hear, oh, there's Peach.
She just scared the shit out of me. She came out of nowhere.
The worst timing ever, Peach.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I just think that it may not have even been a discussion. They could have just come behind her and hit her. You know what I mean? I do think
Yeah.
it's someone that she knew, but unfortunately, as we know, sexual assault and rape is about control.
Yep. Do you guys want to hear Peach's purr? Ow.
Yes.
Oh my god, she's so heavy. Is she purring?
Yeah. Little kitty cat ASMR for you guys.
Tell us more. Okay. She's sitting on my lap right now. Oh my god, you are a thick girl.
She is a thick girl. She is perfect.
Same girl, same. I'm also thick. Okay, so did they ever decide the time of death?
No.
I guess again, 70s. So unfortunately, it sounds like there were so many fatal flaws to this, like in the way that it was handled. One, the DNA testing wasn't what it needed to be. Two, I think that whoever the cops were doing the investigation were like, fuck it, let's just not collect any evidence beyond the basics. Like, what the hell?
I think that the polygraphs, like, they had so much more weight back then. And people really did think that passing a polygraph meant that you were telling the truth. And I'm not justifying what the police
No,
did.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just think, like, that. And I do. I think that
Like, why wouldn't they collect the props?
they just probably didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not justifying it. I mean, I think that the police officers now, and even Scott, who assists with pushing this case along, like they are really trying to find justice for her. I do think that this is a case that is solvable, and they do
Yep.
too. I think that this will likely come from one, some kind of weird confession, whether it's like a deathbed confession, it's someone coming back from saying years ago this guy said this in a bar, or it's going to come
Yeah.
from genealogy.
So, do you know anything about her family? Like, any of that
Mm,
information?
I know that she had basically a twin, but they were a month apart, which means that one of them was probably premature and the other wasn't. I know that it just absolutely devastated the family. That
Like, I wonder if they're still working with Scott and.
I don't know. I would assume they may be working with police, at least her sister, but I
Yeah.
don't know if her parents are still alive.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
So sad. I mean, this is definitely a case that's like gonna haunt me, just like the other ones we've covered.
Yeah.
I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of like the next couple of months while we're doing these unsolved mysteries is like all of them are gonna be like we're gonna leave them being like that doesn't make sense. Something's not adding up. Why is it still unsolved?
I
When did
know.
this? Because you said this is from the show Unsolved Mysteries. When did it? Like, what year was that episode? Do you know?
It's either 2023 or 2024.
Okay,
So
so it's like recent.
it's since they like came back, and it's season 4, episode 4, called Center Stage, if anybody wants to watch it.
Yeah, I sort of do.
Yeah, so I think it's 2023
Ugh,
is when it
that's
came out.
crazy.
Hmm.
Oh, she's about to start chewing on the cord. Let's not.
She's
Let's not. Let's not. I actually run a zoo out of
chaos.
my house. I
Yes,
don't know if you knew that.
I did. Hence the rubber duckies.
The rubber duckies. I know. I'm waiting.
Yeah, you're ready.
I put it on her head. She's like, what the fuck? Anyways, sorry.
That is
Okay.
okay.
Well, I mean, is there a hotline or anything if anyone has any information that they can reach out to?
I'm sure there is. We'll put that in the show notes of both the YouTube video and the podcast episode and the Instagram.
Yes, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, if you made it this far, thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate you being here.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that you enjoyed what you had to hear. If you did enjoy it, you should leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or give us some stars on Spotify. There goes another duck. Peaches just threw it off the table. If you want to reach out to us and, tell us a story, give us your thoughts on this case or any other cases we've covered, you can do so a couple of different ways. One is email, so that's going to be waitforrealpod@gmail.com. We also have social media, which is @waitforrealpod. Instagram is probably the best way to get in contact with us through those social media outlets. You can also try to find our personal accounts if you want to, but that's a little creepy, but, here we are.
Yeah.
What else? If you want to help support us outside of just listening and sending it to a friend, we have a link to buy us a cup of coffee. Every penny helps. We're gonna buy a lighthouse, I think, one day.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna save
That's
up
the
for it.
plan.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting about, Katie?
I don't think so.
Oh, I got it right this time.
You did.
Hey. All right, so we'll leave it as we always do.
Go to therapy.
And don't forget to leave lights on.